Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into Thailand's real estate market, specifically how it's being shaped by some pretty major demographic changes. We're going to be peeking behind the curtain and see how things are changing, especially in those popular spots like Phuket.
Yeah, and it's not just about buildings and properties, right? It's about how families are evolving,
Yeah,
how people view retirement, and how the lines are even blurring between where we live and vacation.
right. And our main source for this deep dive is a recent blog post from Ocean Worldwide. They're a Phuket real estate agency, so we're getting that insider perspective.
Yeah.
They're calling these trends mega trends, and they've identified three big ones. And get this, the first one might surprise you. Thailand's population is aging and fast.
Yeah, that's right. The UN World Population Report actually states that the over 60 population in Thailand has doubled in less than 20 years. And get this, they predict that by 2029, Thailand will be a super-aged society.
Super aged. Now, I'm picturing superheroes with gray hair and wrinkles. I know it's something different. Break it down for me. What does that actually mean for Thailand?
Basically, it means that 20% or more of the population will be over 65. So think about the impact of that on things like healthcare, social services, and naturally housing. It's going to be a massive shift in the needs and demands of the population.
That's a huge number, 20%.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, you've got millennials and Gen Z facing economic pressures like the middle income trap. Now, I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not sure I totally get it. Can you explain what that means for younger generations in Thailand?
Yeah. The middle income trap describes a situation where a country's economy kind of gets stuck
Hmm.
at a certain level of development, and people find it really hard to progress economically. And naturally, that impacts things like their ability to buy homes, start families, all of that. So you've got these two major forces kind of pulling the real estate market in different directions.
It's like a real estate tug of war. So how are developers trying to handle this aging population and the challenges that younger generations are facing?
Well, this leads us right into mega trend number one, multi-generational living. Ocean Worldwide found that a surprising 34% of Thai households already have multiple generations under one roof.
Whoa, 34%. That's way more common than I imagined. I wonder, is this something that we're seeing elsewhere too?
It's a good question. We'll have to look into that. But as the older population grows in Thailand, this trend is only going to become more prominent, right? And developers are realizing that they need to design homes that cater to these larger, more diverse families.
That makes sense. But imagine the challenge for architects and designers. You need homes that can adapt as families grow and change. You have to think about everyone's needs, from grandma and grandpa to the youngest kids.
Exactly. Accessibility for older family members, work from home spaces for younger generations, communal areas where everyone can gather. It's really a completely new approach to designing living spaces.
Okay, on to megatrend number two, and this one really piqued my curiosity. It's all about changing ideas around retirement. Tell me more about what Ocean Worldwide is calling semi-retirement lifestyles.
Well, it seems like that old image of retiring at 65 and immediately hitting the golf course is fading pretty fast. The source found that a whopping 66% of millennials and Gen Z, in Thailand actually, prefer the idea of a phased retirement.
Wait, 66%? That's a huge majority. Why do you think that is? What's so appealing about this phased retirement?
It's a shift in how we view work and leisure in later life. It's not about abruptly stopping work, but more about transitioning gradually. Maybe working part-time, pursuing passions, traveling, or even starting new ventures.
Okay, that does sound a lot more appealing than just dropping everything all at once. But how does this impact the real estate market? Are developers in Thailand creating spaces with this new kind of retirement in mind?
They are. They're realizing that those traditional retirement communities, with their golf courses and shuffleboard courts, they just won't cut it for this generation. They're creating spaces for people who are still active, still working, even as they're enjoying more leisure time.
So are we talking homes with like dedicated offices, super fast internet, maybe even co-working spaces right in the development?
You got it. And they're also factoring in healthcare. As people are living longer and working longer, having access to quality healthcare becomes even more important, right? So some developments are actually integrating medical facilities right into the community.
I can see how that would be incredibly appealing, having everything you need right there at your fingertips. It's like a blend of a luxury apartment and a resort, but with a medical center thrown in for good measure. It's like they're creating entire ecosystems for this new way of living.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It really speaks to the evolving needs and desires of this new generation of retirees, or should we say semi-retirees.
Semi-retirees. I love that. Okay, on to megatrend number 3, and this one might throw you for a loop. Ocean Worldwide says the line between a hotel and your home is getting blurry.
It's true. The blog post points out this fascinating contradiction. Land prices in Bangkok are actually still on the rise, even though the overall housing market has slowed down a bit.
So what's driving that increase in land value then?
Well, one of the key factors is this influx of international buyers who are scooping up second homes. And these aren't just your typical vacation homes. They're looking for a base where they can work remotely, enjoy a luxurious lifestyle, and easily switch between work and play.
So it's not just about escaping to a vacation home for a few weeks a year. It's more about having a home base in a beautiful location that can accommodate all the different aspects of their lives.
Exactly. And this is where we see the rise of these mixed-use developments that combine residential living with all the bells and whistles of a luxury hotel. Think concierge services, housekeeping, maybe even a spa or a fitness center right on your doorstep.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Ocean Worldwide actually gives a couple of specific examples
Mm.
of these hybrid developments, right?
They do. One they highlight is VEHA Hua Hin. They offer luxury living with these stunning ocean views
Hmm.
and all the amenities you'd expect from a high-end resort. And then there's Ram Convent in Bangkok, which takes things a step further.
Ooh, Ram Convent. Tell me more.
So they're marketing it as a luxury wellness residence. Going beyond just your typical amenities, they've partnered with top hospitals to offer integrated medical care. Imagine having access to world-class healthcare, seamlessly integrated into your living experience.
Wow. It's like a fusion of a luxury apartment, a resort, and a private medical facility all rolled into one.
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it. It really reflects this growing desire for a more holistic and integrated approach to living, where our physical, mental, and social well-being are all considered.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already, from aging populations and multi-generational living to the rise of these hybrid hospitality residence spaces. It's pretty clear that Thailand's real estate scene is undergoing a massive transformation. Is there more?
Oh, there's definitely more to unpack here. These are just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to dive even deeper into these trends and their implications after a quick break.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into Thailand's fascinating real estate market. Welcome back. We've been exploring these fascinating mega trends in Thailand's real estate market, and it's clear that things are changing in a big way.
Yeah, these trends are really reshaping how people live and how developers are designing spaces. It's pretty remarkable.
You know what I'm particularly intrigued by? This whole idea of semi-vacationing and the rise of these mixed-use developments that blur the lines between a home and a hotel. It sounds incredibly luxurious, but it also makes you wonder, is this just for the wealthy?
That's a good point. It is true that many of these luxury developments are targeted towards a more affluent clientele, both local and international. But what about everyday Thais, right?
Exactly. The blog post we're looking at doesn't really address affordability for the average person.
Hmm.
It's focused on these high-end projects. But what about the rest of the market? What are the options for people who aren't looking for a luxury wellness residence?
It's a valid concern, and I think it kind of highlights a potential downside to these trends. As more international buyers enter the market and drive up prices, it could exacerbate existing inequalities.
Makes you wonder if there are enough affordable housing solutions being developed to meet the needs of the local population. We'll have to keep that in mind as we continue our exploration.
Absolutely. It's crucial to consider the broader social and economic impact of these trends. We can't just focus on the shiny new developments without acknowledging the potential consequences.
It's like we're seeing a glimpse into the future, but it's important to make sure that future is inclusive and benefits everyone, not just a select few.
I completely agree. But let's shift gears for a moment and go back to something else the source mentioned, that idea of homes designed for future expansion.
Ah, yes. We touched on multi-generational living and those flexible home designs. Now, I'm really curious about what those might actually look like in practice. Can you, paint me a picture of what these adaptable homes could be like?
Imagine a house that can actually grow and change with the family. Maybe it starts with a core unit for a young couple, but there's built-in potential to expand as the family grows.
Oh, like modular additions that you can easily add on or detach as needed. I've seen some
Yeah.
really interesting prefabricated housing units that can be combined in different ways.
Exactly. Or think about internal walls that can be moved or reconfigured to create different layouts as the family's needs evolve.
So you could have a separate wing for grandparents, giving them privacy and independence, but still easy access to the rest of the family. And as the kids get older and need their own space, those same areas could be converted into separate bedrooms or even studio apartments.
Precisely. It's a brilliant way to maximize space and functionality while accommodating the natural ebb and flow of family life. And it could potentially make housing more affordable for larger families.
I love the idea of homes that are designed to evolve along with the people who live in them. It makes me wonder, are we doing enough in other parts of the world to build homes that are truly future-proof?
It's a question worth pondering. We tend to design and build for the present, but we really need to start thinking more long term about how spaces can be flexible and adaptable to meet the needs of tomorrow.
Okay, before we move on, I have to ask,
Yeah.
what was the most surprising or interesting thing you learned from this blog post? What really sparked your curiosity?
I think what struck me most is how Thailand is becoming this microcosm of global trends. We're seeing this convergence of aging populations, technological advancements, evolving work patterns, and changing lifestyle preferences, all kind of playing out in this one country.
It's like a real-time experiment in how these forces are shaping the future of real estate, and by extension, the future of how we live and interact with our communities.
Exactly. And it's happening on a massive scale. Remember, Thailand's real estate sector is worth an estimated 2 trillion US dollars. So the changes happening there are sending ripples throughout the global industry.
Wow, $2 trillion. That's a huge market.
Yeah.
So even if we're not planning on moving to Thailand anytime soon, there's a lot we can learn from what's happening there. It's like a glimpse into the potential future of housing trends and urban development around the world.
It really is. It kind of highlights the need to think creatively about how we design and build for the future, considering factors beyond just aesthetics and functionality.
Now let's bring it back to our listener for a moment. Why should they care about these trends, even if they're not involved in real estate or planning a move to Thailand?
That's a great question. I think the key takeaway is that while these trends are particularly pronounced in Thailand, they're playing out on a global scale. The way we live, work, and age is changing, and those changes are inevitably going to impact our communities, our economies, and the way we design our cities.
So even if we're not directly invested in the Thai real estate market, understanding these trends can help us anticipate and adapt to the changes that are coming our way, no matter where we live.
Exactly. It's about being informed and engaged citizens who can participate in shaping a future that's equitable, sustainable, and responsive to the needs of everyone.
This has been incredibly insightful, and it's clear that we're only scratching the surface here. There's so much more to explore.
There is. We've only just begun to unpack the complexities and implications of these trends.
And unpack we will when we come back for the final part of our deep dive into Thailand's dynamic real estate market. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on quite a journey exploring the changing landscape of Thailand's real estate market. From aging demographics and multi-generational living to those blurring lines between work and leisure, it's clear that we're witnessing a pretty fascinating evolution in how people live and how these spaces are being designed.
Yeah, it's been eye-opening, hasn't it? And as we've been discussing, these trends have implications that reach far beyond Thailand, offering valuable insights into the potential future of real estate and urban development, really globally.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture here. What are the key takeaways? What can we learn from Thailand's experience that we can maybe apply to other parts of the world?
I think the most important takeaway is that the traditional model of real estate is undergoing a fundamental shift. That idea of a single-family home for a nuclear family, it's becoming less relevant. In many parts of the world, including right here at home.
It's true. We're seeing a rise in multi-generational households, more people embracing flexible work arrangements, and a growing desire for spaces that blend work, leisure, and even healthcare. It's like the old rules no longer apply.
Exactly. Developers, urban planners, and policymakers need to start thinking outside the box and creating more flexible, adaptable, and inclusive living environments. We need to move beyond those cookie-cutter solutions and embrace these innovative designs that cater to a wider range of needs and lifestyles.
And it's not just about the physical spaces themselves, right? It's about creating communities that foster that sense of belonging
Yeah.
and cater to the diverse needs of all their residents.
Absolutely. We need to think holistically about things like access to transportation, healthcare, social services, and those opportunities for connection and engagement. It's about creating spaces where people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities can really thrive.
It's about moving beyond that idea of real estate as simply an investment and embracing its role in building thriving, vibrant, and sustainable communities.
Exactly. Thailand's experience serves as a pretty compelling case study, a glimpse into a future where real estate is not just about bricks and mortar, but about fostering human connection, well-being, and a sense of belonging.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that the built environment has a really profound impact on our lives,
Mm.
and we have a responsibility to shape it in a way that benefits everyone. But what about our listeners? What can they do to learn more about these trends and how they might be impacting their own communities?
I encourage everyone to start by just, paying attention to what's happening around them. Are there new developments popping up that cater to multi-generational families? Are co-working spaces becoming more common? Are there initiatives to create more age-friendly or accessible communities?
Great starting points. It's about being aware of those shifts happening around us and understanding how they might shape the future of our own neighborhoods.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to get involved. Look for local organizations or groups that are working on issues related to housing, urban planning, or community development. Engaging with those groups and participating in those local discussions can really help us all be more informed and proactive in shaping the future of our communities.
That's a fantastic call to action. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Thailand's real estate transformation. It's been an eye-opening and thought-provoking journey.
It has. It really has. And I hope it's inspired our listeners to think critically and creatively about the future of their own communities and how we can all contribute to building a world where everyone has a place to call home.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.